Aquarius, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for August 29th through the 4th of September, 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Aquarius, this week we have a very important one. We've got a solar eclipse taking place, as well as Mercury going retrograde. So big week here. A lot of this has to do with your relationships, which is where you're going to have the solar eclipse in your 7th house. And this area has already been emphasized for you with Jupiter, who has been in there, but who has recently shifted into your 8th, which we'll talk more about. But the North Node has been shifting into here this year. And this is where the eclipses are, next to the North Node, which is about big changes to the life path and for you regarding relationships. So this will be on Thursday, and as we approach this, it's good to sort of have that meditative approach to life, get that alone time, meditate on things perhaps, and then on Thursday and onward, the energy starts to manifest itself, and I think it's good to be flexible, see what life brings you in this area, and it does come in time, right? This is over the coming weeks and coming months with the solar eclipse, but new intentions can certainly be brought to the surface at this time. So paying attention, maybe setting intentions yourself, writing things down, and again, being flexible to see where things take you, because this is a very significant time of new beginnings along that life journey, which is pulling you to, work in relationships or to develop relationships. And this is all kinds of relationships. Could be romantic for some of you. Could be business partnerships, clients, anything that is a one-to-one connection. And really learning about cooperation, and harmony and tact and all these things that the 7th house also emphasizes, and the natural things that are emphasized when working in relationships. So that's the new beginning. It's going to be collectively challenging because it is going to be forming a a T-square, as you can see here with Saturn and Neptune. So this has been the ongoing T-square that we've had this year. If you've been following my channel, I've been talking about this uncertainty and doubt this year off and on, and that's been Saturn squaring Neptune. If we try to figure things out, if we try to figure out where things are headed, where things are going, what we're even building in life this year, it can be very confusing. And that's the job of Neptune, really, is to help us connect to the essence of things, to really connect to the present moment. And we can still build things, of course, in the present moment and release the outcomes and detach ourselves from the outcomes as best as we can. And that's been a very good way of working with this. So this has been Saturn in your 10th house, which this year has been helping you establish things like your career or your productive life, having big picture plans in your life and even cultivating what you might consider your legacy. This is very future oriented stuff. But with Saturn, as you know, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes persistence, and that's a really good way of working with this week, is to challenge yourself here to really get the results, the long-term results from the career area or the productive area for you. Now, it's also good to bring in the Saturn into the relationships, right, where you can be patient with them as well and committed or seeing the long-term approach, versus the immediate gratifications of them. So with that Saturnian approach, it can be great. This is all about building. These squares are about building, construction, and challenging ourselves to make these things long-lasting in our lives. So that's the relationships, that's the career, and a lot of it's involving you because you do have Neptune, of course, in your 1st house, dissolving the boundaries of who you are and even where your life is headed, which is the 1st house. So acceptance, like I've been talking about, acceptance of life, how things are in the present moment, accepting of yourself, not needing to categorize or label or understand exactly who you are in a conceptual sense of the mind of a category, but connecting to your true spiritual essence. And that'll liberate you, right? That's the spiritual liberation that Neptune brings, especially with the South Node so close to Neptune now. So there's some old patterns about yourself, about independence. There's some old patterns about your own personal needs, your own personal drives that are perhaps imbalanced right now. So it's important with this, and as it has been this year, to bring extra attention to the self extra attention to see if there are any over-under extremes relating to you, relating to what you want, relating to wanting independence, perhaps yearning for that, or anything else that might seem like an extreme with your desires. And if there is, the key is first to be aware of them. Obviously, just like any spiritual process, the first step is awareness. Then the next step is acceptance. And it's through the acceptance that that we have perhaps these yearnings or these things we want relating to ourselves that are maybe unhealthy. It's through the acceptance of them that they naturally go. And that's the nature of the universe, right? Everything is trying to move, but this is saying that there might be the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind holding on to old belief systems, holding on to old patterns relating to your own personal needs. So as you do that acceptance work, they'll naturally go, and it'll free you up here, and it'll also help you have a more balanced sense of self, more balanced sense of even self-identity, which is, again, much more of a spiritual thing for you. So with that, that's going to serve as the foundation then for you to cultivate relationships, because, of course, we can't cultivate relationships if we don't have a balanced sense of self. And so that's the two-step process with the nodes here. So yeah, new beginnings definitely with relationships, but the challenge here is to do that spiritual work, so to speak, and to detach from anything that you might be wanting, needing, those personal desires there that might seem like an extreme, and changing any old patterns relating to the self. All right, so that's the solar eclipse most important events this week. It is going to be trining Pluto, in fact. So we all should be feeling like we're ready to make change, and there's some good supportive energy to do that. A lot of this has been changes with your aspirations that have been taking place over many years. Even changes with groups and friends and community stuff, although could be very supportive towards these changes this week. Now, Mercury is going retrograde. This is going to be in your 8th house. This is going to be on Tuesday leading into the solar eclipse. So with this, it happens a few times a year. It's now this reflection for you about what really matters in life. And that's your 8th house. That's where Mercury's recently shifted into. So in the greater context, this has been Jupiter shifting into the 8th, giving you now opportunities for the next year plus to get intimate, to get open if it is in those relationships, right? To get real and raw. It can come easy with Jupiter here, but also with yourself too. This is a great time to do things like transformation, diving deep in psychology and things like this to see what really matters most to you and to connect to those things and people and life in a way that matters most to you. So that's Jupiter. Now with Mercury, maybe some things to rethink about this, to redo, re-examine this area, re-examine what really matters, re-examine how you can have more healthy intimacy and openness in your life there. Now Mercury is going to be conjoining up to Venus on Monday. So this is emphasizing that Venus in your 8th is actually great for enjoying perhaps a deeper perspective on life or deeper connections in your relationships. So that could be emphasized on Monday. Then as the week ends, as we approach the weekend, Mercury is going to go over Jupiter retrograde, suggesting that maybe there's some re-examining, some rethinking about these potentials here, and re-examining again what really matters, but how you can utilize this bit of inspiration and positive energy that you do have going for you in what is normally a very deep area. The 8th house tends to be quite buoyant and quite uplifted, and we can actually learn about the true deep things in life. So some great things to reconsider, rethink about there, and again, seeing those potentials there over the weekend. All right, Aquarius, so that's the week in a nutshell. Definitely an emphasis on new beginnings with relationships. Again, around the solar eclipse on Thursday, sitting with it, seeing where things take you. Doing the work, of course, with your ruler in a square up in the 10th house, being patient with those big picture things, doing the work with self, spiritual work there to liberate yourself and serve as the foundation. And that's all the constructive way of, generally the constructive way of working with this so that you can further and continue to cultivate these relationships. All right, Aquarius, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.